Howdy! Welcome to Aspire Mountain Academy. I'm Professor Curtis, your instructor for this course in Introductory Statistics. In less than 10 minutes, this video provides practice in applying the simple pattern for sharing conclusions from a hypothesis test that was shown in the previous mini lecture. Let's get started. To start off with, we're going to look at an example that we've seen in previous mini lectures. The claim is that 20% of adults smoke, and a recent Gallup survey of 1,016 randomly selected adults showed 21% of respondents actually smoke. So to start off with, we're going to conduct the hypothesis test, and to do that, we're going to get the value of the test statistic. So to do that, we start with our null and alternative hypotheses. The null hypothesis, of course, is always a statement of equality. But saying that the proportion is equal to 20% is also the claim. So we can't use that claim for our alternative hypothesis. So we have to take the complement of the claim, and that becomes our alternative hypothesis. So the complement of being equal to is being not equal to. And so, therefore, we have these two statements for our hypotheses. Then we can go to StatCrunch and go to Stat, Proportion Stats, because we're dealing with proportions. One sample, because we've got just the one sample, with summary, because we don't have any actual data. In the options window, enter your summary stats up at top, and then in the fields for the hypothesis test, make sure that those match so that we can get the right test statistic out. And then go ahead and make sure that you get that 214 there at the top. That's coming from 21% of the number of people in the survey. You have to actually calculate that out. I wish that you could just put a percentage in, but StatCrunch makes you put in an actual number, so you've got to calculate that out. And then once you get that in, you've got everything you need, so then you can go ahead and press compute and get this wonderful results table out, and the test statistic will always be the second to last number in that results table. So then we're ready to make our conclusion about the null hypothesis. So here again is that results table. And if we use the p-value, then the p-value of 0.397 is going to be greater than our significance level, which we'd say is 5%. We're well outside the region of rejection. Therefore, we're going to fail to reject H0. We get the same conclusion if we use the test statistic. Compare that with the critical value, which would be 1.645 at the 5% level for a two-tailed test. So we're going to be in that central region between the tails with our test statistic, and that puts us in the region where we fail to reject the null hypothesis. So either way, we get the same conclusion. Now at this point, we need to translate that into language that other people that are not well versed in statistics can understand. So how should we state our conclusion in non-technical terms? Well, there's four answer choices for us. Which answer choice is going to be the one we want? Well, remember, the first part of the statement comes from whether we reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis. In this case, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. That means there is not sufficient evidence. So right off the bat, we know answer options A and D are not going to work for us. How then do we choose between answer option B and C? We'll look at the second part of the statement. So here we've got, say, support the claim, and here it says reject the claim. So which of these two do we want? Well, this comes back to what type of test do we have? Is it a one-tailed test or a two-tailed test? And in this case, we had a two-tailed test because the alternative hypothesis used the not equal to sign. So the two-tailed test means we're going to say warrant rejection of the claim or reject the claim. So our answer that we want to select is going to be answer option C. Look to see again how each of the pieces come together. Okay, so the first part we have because we failed to reject the null hypothesis. The second part comes because we have a two-tailed test. And the last part is simply a restatement of the claim itself. Let's look at another example, and we've seen this one in previous mini lectures as well. It's claimed that the mean pulse rate in beats per minute for adult females is 76 or lower. Then we have a random sample of 40 adult females where the mean pulse rate for that sample is 77.5 beats per minute. The sample's standard deviation is 2.1 beats per minute, and the population standard deviation is 2.5 beats per minute. So let's go through the same process that we just went through for the other problem. What is the value of the test statistic? Well, first we're going to look at our null and alternative hypotheses. So the null hypothesis, always a statement of equality. So we're going to set mu equal to that claimed value of 76. And then 76 or lower, so that has a semblance of equality to it. It could be equal to 76 and still verify the claim. So because it has a semblance of equality to it, we're going to have to take the complement of the claim as our alternative hypothesis. So this gives us mu is greater than 76. This also means that we have a one-tailed test on the right. Now in StatCrunch we can go to Stat, Z-Stats. We're using Z-Stats because we know what the population standard deviation is. It's given there in the problem statement, the 2.5 beats per minute. One sample, because we've got just the one sample. With summary, because we've got summary stats, we don't have any actual data. In the options window that appears, we put our summary stats up top, and then in the fields for the hypothesis test, we're going to make sure that those values match our null and alternative hypotheses. And once we get that, then we can hit compute, and out comes our results table, and you can see the test statistic. It's always the second to last value there in the results table. What then do we conclude about the null hypothesis? Well, here again are the results. If we use the p-value, what are we going to conclude about the null hypothesis? Do we reject it or do we fail to reject it? Well, if we're comparing with a 5% significance level, we're going to fail to reject the null hypothesis. If that p-value of 1, pretty certain you're going to fail to reject. Just like a p-value of 0 means you're pretty certain to reject the null hypothesis. Using the test statistic, we get the same conclusion. And so, how then should we state our conclusion in non-technical terms? So we've got the same 4 basic choices. Which do we turn to? So I'm going to give you a few seconds to figure out your answer to this question, and then we're going to pick this back up and see how well you did. Okay, let's see how well you did with this. So the first part of the statement comes from the result from the hypothesis test. Do we reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis? Well, here we're clearly failing to reject the null hypothesis. And so the language you use for that is there is not sufficient evidence. So we know the answer is going to be B or C. Then to select between them, we look and see what type of test do we have. Remember the alternative hypothesis told us we had a one-tailed test. So when we have a one-tailed test, that means we're going to support the claim. And then, of course, the last part of the statement is simply a restatement of the claim. So the answer option has all 3 of those elements together, is answer option B. There's not sufficient evidence to support the claim that the mean pulse rate of adult females is 76 or lower, which makes sense if we've got a sample that has a mean rate that's higher than 76. So this actually makes sense with the sample that we have. Look again to see where each of these parts is coming from. So there's not sufficient evidence because we failed to reject the null hypothesis. We're supporting the claim because we have a one-tailed test. And then the rest of the statement is simply a restatement of the claim. And that brings us to the end of this mini lecture. I hope you found it helpful. You can find more mini lectures for this and other courses at AspireMountainAcademy.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.